Starting out with Clavicus, he's the perfect card for magikey, and he's the best normal monster of all time, so he's perfect. There's nothing to complain about him. As for Maftail, I think there's three big points that make him worse. The first one is that he locks himself for no good reason. Of course, it removes the generic synchro summons and XZ summons, but this is magikey we're talking about. It's not like magikey needs more restrictions. So the first effect is pretty useless and pretty annoying at times. The second point is that he only reveals himself on a magikey card, magikey monster. So, you can't just normal summon a normal monster and then reveal him, which is pretty annoying, and it comes up more often than you think. Like, it is pretty annoying, it is. As for the last point is that he only triggers on normal summon, so if you find a way to special summon him, you will not trigger his effect, which is pretty annoying, but it's the least worrying problem of this card, so yeah. Beta's Buster, he suffers the ritual problems, hard to summon, blah 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 blah, but I guess what could be done is that if he had like a hand effect or a grave effect or something like this, kind of like the Mikanko card, then maybe he could have been better, but it's Beta's Buster, he does just about anything that the deck needs. I cannot complain much about this card. And the ritual problems continue with Garrus Glacier too. Garrus Glacier, he's just kind of annoying to summon, to be honest. Like, he's not hard to summon, but it could be easier to summon him. But he's definitely easier to summon, especially with high ritual art and advanced ritual art. The other problem Garrus Glacier has, in my opinion, is that not only the two attributes to summon, which is the magikey special, I can't complain about that, the archetype, but he only negates monsters with the same attribute. So if the opponent plays a earth monster, you cannot negate that, which is pretty annoying and could come up. So Mafia, a little change that could have been made is if it was a ritual spell or if it was fusion named, which it is in both. It does both, but it's not named, so that's kind of annoying. It could lead up some cool engine interactions if it had that, but it doesn't. Maybe it's asking for a little bit too much, but if the send from deck effect triggered on any magikey monster, I think that would have been cool. A cool little interaction to do. But I guess, as I said, it's asking for a bit too much. The card is already not a once per turn, so that can get people off guard. And yeah, it's a good card. It's really good. It's basically what gets the engine going. As for battle, there's if you could add back to the hand instead of shuffling back, only one card as well. I think it would have been way better. And something that basically every card in Magikey lacks is lack of graveyard effects or something of the sorts. So it's pretty bad. The deck doesn't get back resources easy, so it's one of the big problems of the deck. And for the last spell, it's World. World is basically perfect, searches 2 engine cards, blah 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 blah. I guess the only complaints I have is that why do you have to shuffle back, which is not entirely a bad thing, like being able to shuffle back engine pieces that you drew, break pieces and stuff. It's pretty cool, but if it didn't shuffle back, it would have been, I guess, better beneficially. And the last complaint is that it only protects normal monsters as opposed to any Magikey monster. Magikey, this is one of the big problems on Magikey, not having protection, and the world just makes the service to that by only protecting normal monsters, which are not even part of the end piece. Now for the traps. Starting with Duel, it only adds back 1 monster, so maybe if it added 2 cards or something like that. It's asking for a bit too much, but I want Magikey to be good. So anyway, the bonus effect is decent. It's the best out of the 2 bonus effect cards. And the last complaint, as I said with Battle before, is that it has no grave effect, which is very unfortunate. For unlocking, there's not much to complain. It does its job pretty well. It's easy to be able to activate it, so it's pretty good. I guess, as I said with all the other cards before, it lacks a graveyard effect though, which is very annoying. And for the last trap and the worst card in the deck, in my opinion, is Locking. It does nothing. It tributes for cost, which is annoying already. Target up to 2 normal monster Magikey monsters, and they have to equal 8. So you cannot even summon them back like a Transfer Mine plus a monster. No, you have to summon only a Transfer Mine or the 2 monsters. And then for the bonus effect, it's laughably bad. Summoning a Transfer Mine during the opponent's turn is not really beneficial. If the opponent already outed it, it's not even worth it to make another one. It's only 1 pop of a monster, so that's that. And, the Exceed summon, that's the big problem because of a certain card that will come up later. And it doesn't even do that pretty well, which is very sad. And continuing the trend, it also lacks a graveyard effect. Now let's take a look at the extra deck, starting with the fusions. Unsalvables. Yeah, if it was easier to summon, this can be said about basically anyone from the extra deck, but if he only took like 2 normal monsters, that would have been great already. Him adding back Mafta is not a bad effect, but I guess the effect that really is bad is the defense position. It's not a quick effect, it doesn't even put face down, it just puts in defense and loses a total defense, which is 2025 Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't think that's gonna be very worth it. It doesn't even pierce damage. And Drabime could also be easier to summon, maybe like not even an effect magikey, like just a magikey monster plus a normal monster, that would have been cool. But I guess the biggest complaint is that, you know, he's not a quick effect, so it's not really that worth it. He's only a going second card. There's ways to make him going first, but he does nothing other than draw you a card, which is not really good. And to remember that this boss monster doesn't have a grave effect, so unlike last Glacier, he doesn't do nothing on grave effects, and this is a trend to be followed by basically every card in the deck. To the XZs now, into Vapartu. Vapartu is decent. The first effect of Searching is very mediocre at best. It works with Manju, but that's about it. As for the second effect, if it was like, if you didn't need to have a normal monster as material, that would have been great already. Like, why do you have the restriction? It cost me a game one time and it made me mad because one simple restriction. And for the damn Dashtartu, which is one of the worst pieces of support I've ever seen Konami give to a deck, he's hard to summon, so you need 2 boss monsters to summon him. His effects are both mediocre. Wow, cool, banishing effect and OTK effect, but the banish effect only works during the opponent's main phase for no good reason. Which, you know, why? You can't even banish during your own turn. And it's super hard to summon, as I said, like, it's not worth it. Not even with locking. Locking's supposed to make like this easier, but because locking doesn't summon like the level 8 plus a monster, it, you know, it's even harder to summon. Vapartu wouldn't lack a graveyard effect, I don't think he needs one, but Ashtartu definitely, he's one of the boss monsters, so why doesn't he have a grave effect? And last but not least, Transformine. The best card, the best deck card. Sets a card, well, blah blah blah, you already know the stuff. I guess the only complaint I have about him is that he cannot set world from the deck, so you don't have ways of follow-up unless you play duo, which is pretty annoying. So yeah, that was about it. Fiendsmith has been released to Master Duel, it's been like 4 days, but not full power, so that's quite unfortunate. Anyway, when full power does come, I'll definitely make some videos, because right now it's not really worth it. It's not like the best engine Magikey has ever seen. It's decent, it helps with some things, but anyway. I thank you for watching, and yeah, I hope you hate Magikey as much as I do.